The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have won the NFC North more recently than the Lions have. This sounds fake, but seriously, look it up. Anyways, let's get on to the video. As I just illustrated, the Lions have struggled to win their division for years. This season, though, I think Detroit finally gets the monkey off their back. 2023 is looking like the year for the Lions to win the NFC North and punch their ticket to the playoffs. Let's break it down. Divisional competition aside, this is easily the best team Detroit has had in years. I know I've talked about the roster before, so I'll make this pretty quick, but let's have a look. On offense, Detroit has an arguably top 10 quarterback in Jared Goff, who is coming off a season where he recorded excellent statistics. They have an elite running back duo made from the proven David Montgomery and the dynamic first-round running back Jahmyr Gibbs. The pass catchers should be more than solid with the Sun God, Sam Laporta, and others, plus the offensive line should be a top 3 unit in the league with guys like Frank Ragnow, Penei Sewell, and Jonah Jackson. On the other side of the ball, the defensive line is looking solid with Aidan Hutchinson, James Houston, and other rising stars. The linebacking core is going to be fun with Alex Anzalone, fan favorite Malcolm Rodriguez, and first-round linebacker Jack Campbell. The secondary, which struggled a lot last year, is totally revitalized. The team added Cameron Sutton, Emmanuel Mosley, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Brian Branch, and our returning safety Tracy Walker from injury. The offense should be explosive and elite again, and the defense should make a huge leap. Overall, the roster doesn't really have a weak link. I mean, they could stand to add another piece on the defensive line and some depth in a couple places, sure, but overall, it's looking like a really solid group of guys. There isn't any major apparent weakness like last year, and overall, the team has a roster that should just be able to get stuff done. In order to finish at the top of a division, a team has to win more games than any of their divisional rivals. So, in this case, Detroit must finish with a better record than all of the Packers, Vikings, and Bears. Let's break down the competition quickly. First, the Packers. Arguably the most hated of the Lions' NFC North rivals, Green Bay had a disappointing 2022. This year, I expect them to still be mediocre. Packers have a nice collection of talent, especially on defense, but the team's defensive coordinator doesn't know how to use it. They have some pieces on offense as well, like Aaron Jones and Christian Watson, but Jordan Love is a massive question mark, and the pass catchers are inexperienced. Regardless, I expect the team to be decent. The offense will probably be inconsistent, while the defense will be solid. I'm feeling around an 8-9 or 9-8 record for Green Bay. They have a good roster, but it's not super complete and probably not ready to compete for the division. It all hinges on how good Jordan Love actually is. Now let's get to the most recent winners of the division, the Vikings. Despite Minnesota finishing with a 13-4 record, many of those wins were a result of an incredible streak of luck. The team ended up finishing with a negative point differential, and anyone could see that the winning wasn't sustainable. This year, I don't have super high hopes for the Vikings. Obviously, they have some nice pieces on offense like Jefferson, Addison, and Hawkinson, but Kirk Cousins is aging, they lack a proven running back, and the offensive line could be iffy. That's not even the biggest issue, though. The defense, which was already absolutely terrible last year, could be even worse. They lost guys like Patrick Peterson and Dalvin Tomlinson to free agency, and they didn't add much besides Byron Murphy. Losing some of the only good players from a defense that was already among the worst in the NFL is decidedly not great. I can see Minnesota pulling off some wins due to their offensive firepower, but to be honest, they could very easily finish last in the division if one or two things don't go their way. 7-10, give or take. Definitely not prepared to win the division. Finally, the Bears. Chicago has been receiving a pretty good amount of hype after making some nice offseason moves, but I don't know if I see them taking the division just yet. They have some nice pieces on the roster, but it's overall a very unproven group of guys. A lot hinges on Justin Fields finding his groove through the air this year. He can run with the best of them, but he hasn't proved that he can be a dangerous passer yet. If the Bears are going to take that next step, he's going to need to up his game through the air. I think he can, but it's a matter of if he will. A lot of the roster is like that, to be honest. There's plenty of young guys who could make a big impact, but could also fall flat. There's plenty of potential, but a ton could go wrong, and I just don't think this team is quite ready to compete for the North this year. In a year or two, if everything keeps going well, sure. For now, though, I don't see it. Now, I'm not going to comment on strength of schedule because Detroit was supposed to have one of the easiest schedules last year, and that didn't really turn out. Injuries are also a big wild card. They could affect a ton for any team, not just the Lions, but we'll see what happens. Overall, I think this is the perfect time for the Lions to finally take the division. The rest of the teams are looking pretty weak, and Detroit is looking stronger than it has in a long time. Of course, the NFL is chaos, and we never really know what's going to happen, but it seems pretty plausible that the Lions could be sitting at the top by season's end. Talk soon.